Right, lawmakers in Uganda just passed a bill that would punish people with up to 20 years in prison for just identifying as LGBTQ. CNN's Larry Madowo live in Lagos, Nigeria for us. Larry, now we're hearing that an amendment to the bill goes even further. What can you tell us?
Christine, that is right. Lawmakers in Uganda passed this anti-homosexuality bill that defines a life sentence for anybody convicted of the crime of homosexuality. For the offense of aggravated homosexuality, that would be a death penalty. It's likely that President Yoweri Museveni, who the bill goes to now, will assent to it because his Prime Minister and his Attorney General were in Parliament when this passed, and he said that the government fully supports it. President Museveni has called homosexual people deviants. But this law goes a lot further than many anti-LGBT legislation in Africa because it criminalizes even identifying as LGBT or non-binary in the country. The man who proposed this bill, the opposition MP, calls himself a human rights lawyer, and he took a lap of honor when the bill passed in Parliament, in fact, criticizing Western nations. Listen.
Being threatened with the visa restrictions, travel restrictions, these homosexuals have been jamming my phone with the nudity, profanities, and abuses, thinking that we would relent. I know what I have gone through is what all of you have gone through in one way or the other.
Ugandan lawmakers say they're protecting traditional family values. If that sounds familiar, it's because a lot of the lobbying around these anti-LGBT legislation in Africa, including in Uganda, is sponsored and supported by U.S. conservative Christian groups. They have previously worked on similar legislation in Ghana, in Uganda, and other parts of the continent. And so this builds on that. I was in Uganda just last week, and there was a lot of concern within the queer community and their allies, within civil society organizations, and the ways this could be weaponized or abused to affect sexual minorities in the country. And this criticism from Human Rights Watch and other human rights bodies that say this is using sexual minorities for political capital, Christine.
Larry, it's just so chilling. I mean, is there a viable opposition at all in the government to this, or is this going to happen?
It looks very likely, Christine, that this will happen because this was a bill by an opposition MP that had bipartisan support. People from the government, including the Prime Minister, the AG, said, we support this. It will likely get contested in court, but it's unlikely to stand. And the law that this builds up on is a colonial law, British colonial 1950 law that criminalized same-sex relations, and then this has a lot of public support. Uganda is a deeply Christian conservative nation, so this looks like it will happen.
All right, Larry Madowo, thank you so much for that. All right, lawmakers in Uganda just passed a bill that